What's up, gamers and collectors? DGC back with another video, and today we're talking about the 25th anniversary of the Sega Dreamcast. Let's talk about it. $9.99.99 for $199.99. That's a lot of nines. The Sega Dreamcast launched. Man, do I remember it like it was yesterday. Walking into Sears, looking at the console. I remember seeing the kiosk. It was a cool little like bubble kiosk. I remember going there with my mom. I don't remember what we were going there for. And for those of you that are younger, in 1999, yes, computers and the internet existed. However, I didn't have one. And at 9 years old, you're not really, and maybe they do nowadays, but at 9 years old, when I was younger, I was outside playing and riding bikes and occasionally playing games and stuff. I had no idea about the Dreamcast. I had no idea about what this thing was. But I remember seeing Sonic on the screen, the little cool kiosk, and I just instantly knew that I had to have one. But alas, I did not get one. Every Christmas I asked, and then eventually the Dreamcast was discontinued. So lo and behold, when I was younger, I used to go to this flea market with my best friend and his grandparents. Probably like once a month we would go. And there was one Sunday that we went, and this guy had a Dreamcast. That is where all of this started. So the Dreamcast really is an important system to me. I have a lot of memories with it. And we're going to go for a trip down memory lane. This isn't your standard, oh, check out all these cool games. It's just me taking you down memory lane with my experience with the Dreamcast, and just to preserve this for future generations to be like, what was this Dreamcast thing and why do people love it so much? This is my experience, and we're just going to talk about it. So way back in 2002, I would have been 12 years old. Like I said, we were at the flea market, and this guy had, funny enough, being I was a 12-year-old, the guy had a little box of porno that we saw. No, I was not trying to get that, but it is why we walked over there. And then I saw the Dreamcast. It was $15. No joke. 3 controllers, this very exact Dreamcast. Did not come with the box. That got purchased later in life. However, this very Dreamcast, 3 controllers, 3 memory cards, these very 2 Rumble packs that are still here to this day, and then this nice little stack of games for $15. I got that motherfucking itch for collecting that day. That's when it all began. This is the story of that. So I remember picking all this stuff up, finally getting home after, you know, we were at the flea market, had to ride home with the grandparents to their house, then get picked up by his parents, then eventually work my way home. So I didn't get home that day till like, I don't know, probably 1 or 2 o'clock. But man, was I excited to hook this thing up and play the Dreamcast. I don't remember what game I put in first. It probably was Sonic if I had to take a guess, but nevertheless, this is first in the stack, so we're going to talk about it first. Toy Commander. This is a cool little game here. So you are the commander of the toys. It reminds me a lot, now that I've played it, of Chibi Robo, if you've played that or are familiar with that. Very similar game. Obviously, there's no little robot guy, but you're like in a house and there's toys and you kind of adventure around the house and stuff. It's a very unique game. Not super expensive, super cheap. Really, everything here is relatively cheap. Collecting for the Dreamcast is still kind of fun. And I'm sure with a lot of the 25th anniversary, the prices are going to rise up for a little while, but they'll eventually go back down. It is still a somewhat fun system to collect for. They're hard to find, but if you do find a store that like regularly gets them in, most of these are like $15 to $30 for a game, like with the jewel case. To me, that's a very reasonable price. So like, I've always enjoyed collecting the Dreamcast. I don't do it a ton, and I will be showing off my full collection later in this video. It's a decent amount. It's more than half the library. Yes, I am going for the full set. Yes, I've been going for the full set since 2002, but I'm kind of slowly working my way through it. I'm not going to rush it. I eventually will have the full set, and I've enjoyed the adventure of getting all these Dreamcast games and just really enjoying them and playing them. So here are 2 really good games, and this is a franchise that Sega is finally bringing back after all these years, and I don't know what took them so long, and that's Crazy Taxi 1 and 2. Really good games. You can't really ever show gameplay of this unless you turn off the music ahead of time. I've learned that the hard way many times after I've gone and edited videos and uploaded them to YouTube, and then I get that sweet copyright strike for the Offspring song, which is literally just it's the theme song for this game. Like, if you think of these games, you think of the Offspring song. And I always forget to turn the music off every time I record gameplay for these, so it kind of sucks. But nevertheless, 2 really good games here. Fantastic little pick up and play racing games. Super cheap, both of them. Really good games. Now, another really good racing game here. I played this in the arcades way back in the day. Ocean City, Maryland specifically, I remember playing this. Hydro Thunder. Such a cool little game. I love Hydro Thunder. I love the newer one that they've made. I'd love a physical copy of Hydro Thunder. What's it called? Hurricane, I think. Really good game. This one, again, super cheap, super fun. They also have a version on PS2, I think, and possibly the GameCube, maybe? No, I'm sorry. Definitely PS1, N64, possibly PS2, and then obviously definitely Dreamcast, and then arcades. Here's another really cool, and again, maybe it's nostalgia talking, I don't know, but I got this with the Dreamcast lot that I originally got, and that's Four Wheel Thunder. So this is a really cool monster truck game, racing game, obviously. It really plays very similar to like Excite Truck. If you played that on the Wii, this obviously came out first, but Excite Truck, very similar to this game. So if you're into that, you'll probably enjoy that game as well. Now here's a game that I've never actually beaten. Now I've always wanted to, and now that I'm older and have the patience and the ability and the skill to beat this game, and you may laugh if you know what this is, and I've never beaten it, but that's Army Men Sarge's Heroes for the Dreamcast. Now the Army Men games at the time, so the N64 era, PS1 era, all the way up until the OG Xbox PS2 era, they were kind of prevalent. There was, I don't know, I think maybe 6 or 7 games throughout that whole 10-year gap of gaming. And then the Army Men games have kind of died at this point. I think it would be kind of cool to bring them back. I don't know who owns that. I guess maybe Hasbro would probably be my guess as to who owns the Army Men license. I have no idea. But I think if you were to make like a really cool gritty where they maybe they bleed and stuff when you shoot them and stuff, and like make it really like where you like see the bullets like melt through their body and shit, like graphically intense Army Men game, that'd be sick. But I've always wanted to beat this, so this is on my short list of games that I want to like beat in the near future, because I remember playing the shit out of it as a kid, never beating it, and like it kind of haunts me that I've never beaten this game. Cool game though, and again, super cheap. Here's a bit of a weird one. This is a cool multiplayer game. Dreamcast is a multiplayer box. That was its main thing. Like it has a good bit of single player stuff, but its main focus was multiplayer. Now this is a cool one. If you want to get 4 buddies together and play some good multiplayer games, this should be on your short list for that. Who Wants to Beat Up a Millionaire? This will have you all laughing. This is a funny-ass game. I enjoyed the shit out of this as a kid. When I did get this lot, there were 2 games that were disc-only. It was this and GTA 2. I did obviously buy this complete in box, and GTA 2 got traded into GameStop, and I've never found one in the wild. I have a weird thing about my Dreamcast collection. I'll buy any other game on eBay, but for Dreamcast, I have to buy it in person. I don't know why. It's just been a dumb thing that I've always done with these games. They have to be bought in person. Just a dumb collecting rule that I made up for myself to not overwhelm myself by buying them all. It has to be bought in person. I don't know why. Probably just because it was like I bought this in person, and it was kind of like what started this whole craze for me. So that's like one of the very few rules I have. If it's a disc-based game, it's got to be complete in box. That's rule 1 for me. And then also rule 2 is really for Dreamcast, it's got to be bought like physically, in store or meeting up with someone or whatever. But so no online stuff for whatever dumb reason. It's just kind of something dumb I've done. But Who Wants to Beat Up a Millionaire? Really, really choice multiplayer game there. Now the rest of these 6 games here are arguably probably the best 6 games on the console. They're really good. They're really quintessential games to own if you have the console, and more than likely if you have the console, these are on your short list already. But Sonic Adventure, man, I tell you, when I first saw this game at Sears, and I was so blown away by it, and then playing the whale level or the beach level, whatever, the intro to the game, just being so blown away by it, and the music, and just everything about it was just so good. And then like looking at, I don't know, like just something about the jewel case just did it for me. And then like with the spiral around it, and then Sonic, and then just the logo of the Dreamcast, and the sound effects that the Dreamcast makes when you turn it on, hearing the disc whine and the fan spool up, because it's like a little tiny fan, so it's got a very distinct noise. Like you could put me blindfolded somewhere and I'd be like, oh, that's a Dreamcast. I know what that sound is. And the Dreamcast just really provides that nostalgic itch for me, and I love it, man. I really do. Hearing the menu music, turning the console on. I have two of them. Here's the one that came out of this box is still hooked up, and then this is my modded one, which I'll leave the episode linked. I did with Rocker Gaming. It's got the HDMI mod, and it's got the SD card mod. However, for me, as cool as this is, and I have all the Japanese shoot 'em ups on its own SD card, because that was like the main reason I wanted the SD mod. As cool as it is, for me, I really enjoy opening up the jewel case, taking the game out, putting it in the console, hearing that shitty disc whine, hearing the little fan load up. Like I just, and this even has the Noctua fan mod in it, so it's like super crispy quiet and everything. But I get the nostalgic itch for playing it on the OG hardware the proper way with the CRT, which is right here. Next up, this game truly blew me away the first time I played it, and that being Sonic Adventure 2. The leap from Sonic Adventure 1 to 2 to me was pretty vast in such a short period of time. Like they really like kind of one-upped the game. The Chow Gardens, the Chow Racing, collecting all the little creatures in the levels, and the little, I forget what they're called, but the little like chemical looking vials, and you feed them to the chows and shit. The levels, the level design. Obviously you had multiple characters and paths you could play through with this, and then you kind of had to unlock Metal Sonic and all that other shit. But and then with this one, you had all the different teams and everything, and then there was like Eggman and Tails did kind of the same thing with the mech, and then Rouge and Knuckles did the same thing, and then Sonic and Shadow obviously kind of had the same levels and whatnot. It was just such a cool, it was just so good, and it was so well paced, because you would do that level, then you would do this type of level, then you would do that type of level, then you would do this type of level. And I remember at the time when I played both these originally on the GameCube, then played them again on the Dreamcast, and I've played them both many times on both consoles. Even though I played them first on the GameCube, I get more of the nostalgic itch from the Dreamcast version. I don't know why, but I do. Even though I played them first on the GameCube, it just feels more at home. I mean, it is literally a Sega game on the Sega console, but it just, I don't know, with the controller, and it just plays better on the Dreamcast for some weird reason, even though it does kind of look better on the GameCube. Sounds better on the Dreamcast, though. Segalicious, my good buddy, he actually has a video on that, so I'll probably try to link that down below, too, about him comparing the Dreamcast. A lot of Dreamcast and GameCube games, he would compare them. Next up is another duo of games we'll go over, again from the Sonic team. They were busy. These were some busy boys during the Dreamcast generation. And that being Phantasy Star Online version 1 and version 2. These are arguably some of the finest RPGs you will ever play. The amount of customization, the level design, the replayability of these games, just really frankly everything about these games. This is a perfect 10 out of 10 video game and RPG, multiplayer, just everything about it is perfect. There's nothing that could be better about these two RPGs. They are so fucking good. It's unbelievable. Again, oh shit, I almost broke it. But again, I played these first on, I want to say I played these first on the GameCube, if I'm not mistaken. But it could have been the Dreamcast. But I remember when I was growing up, all the neighborhood kids had it on the GameCube. We would all take our memory cards over to each other's houses, and you could transfer your character onto their game, and then you would play. And I just remember so many hours on the GameCube spent playing these games. And I've thus since, as an adult, played these just by myself on the Dreamcast, and had an absolute blast playing them. It is definitely more fun playing them with friends, but you could still definitely have a lot of fun playing by yourself. But with friends, definitely cool. Snag a copy for the GameCube or the Dreamcast. It's even on the OG Xbox. You can transfer your characters over and just play with each other, and it's an absolute blast. They're unfortunately, actually, now it's funny that I'm thinking about this now. I've actually looked up these 4 games. Everything else I'm showing is still relatively cheap. These 4 games are actually they're kind of getting on the pricey side, unfortunately, specifically this one too. Well, really both these, just really probably because of the movies, but they're kind of pricey at this point. Not unattainium pricey, but they're definitely getting pricey. But they are truly worth the price. Now, these 2 last games here are fighting games. To me, this is arguably the best fighting game, and then the best combat, like with a weapon fighting game that exists. Specifically these versions too. Dreamcast versions of Dead or Alive 2 and the original Soul Calibur. So as a kid, I didn't even know that Ryo Hayabusa was Ninja Gaiden, but I just happened to pick him and Kasumi, and they've since this game have been my mains in Dead or Alive. I love the speed of Kasumi with the attacks that she does, and then with Ryo, now that I know it's Ninja Gaiden, he's just badass, but also he was the fucking ninja character, so I was like, I like that guy. And then with Soul Calibur, I just remember playing the absolute shit out of this. This is a visual stunner. And I could be wrong, and I'm going to put it somewhere here, but I'm pretty sure both of these were launch titles for the Dreamcast. And they still look pretty damn good to this day, which is kind of wild to think about, but they still really look good to this day. The multi-tier stages where you like get knocked down and stuff with Dead or Alive, just wonderful. Everything about this game, like just the speed of it. The reason I love Dead or Alive so much is, one, it's a fast-paced fighting game, but then also anybody can play that. Really, anybody can play either of these games, right? You can button mash the fuck out of it, or you can become really good at it. These are not fighting games where you have to be like super duper expert, like some. I'm not going to name them because I don't want the fanboys to get mad at me. But both these I feel like are expert friendly and beginner friendly, to where like you can just truly enjoy both these games, and you don't have to be like playing it for hundreds of hours to be good at it. And that's why I love these, because I'm not great at fighting games, not even good at shoot 'em ups, but I do love playing them. So those are all the games that I got originally with my Dreamcast. I'm going to switch the camera over to my table just because it's a massive collection. I'll try to be quicker about it. I'll just point out the highlights of some of the games. We'll be back in a sec. Alright guys, so I got six big stacks here. I'm going to try to go as quick as possible. First up, I just wanted to go through these. This is like the Burns / games that have been manufactured after the fact with for the Dreamcast. Baltimore Retro Gaming actually gave me 2 of these. These are Japanese titles that have been converted into American, and he burned them for me. And this is Border Down for the Dreamcast. Really good shoot 'em up, and he did. Actually, I didn't even realize that was in there with his little logo. Then he even like printed the disc and everything. I don't honestly know how he did all this, but pretty cool that he did that. I've had these for a very long. He gave me these years ago. And then the other one here is Zero Gunner 2. Actually, there's even a note in here. It's always fun to find things like this. What's that, man? Okay, I guess well, according to this, it says he used to sell them on Etsy. I did not know that, and I forgot this was even in here. But nevertheless, that's pretty cool. I always was kind of envious of his logo. It's pretty sweet, let's be honest. Yeah, so definitely go follow the homie, Baltimore Retro Gaming. 2 other games here. These are, like, I guess, bigger budget, I guess you could say. One of these, you can actually find DGC in the game, and that is Xenocrisis for the Dreamcast, PS4, Xbox One, Switch. I think it's even on the PS Vita. It's pretty much on everything. Really cool little title here. Graphically beautiful game. Plays really well on the Dreamcast with the arcade stick. And then here's another one that I did back on, I want to say it was probably Kickstarter or something like that. And that's FX Yuki Yuki, or Unit Yuki is what it is. This is a really cool little platforming game. Shoot 'em up, platformer typey game. Really good game. You could still purchase both these on the internet anyway, but really good. I'm going to try to go through the rest of this quickly so this video doesn't get super long, but there's like over 100 games here, or close to it, I think. We got Fighting Force 2, Silent Scope, Atari Anniversary Edition, Maximum Pool, Arrow Wings 2, Centipede. I'm just going to stop on the games that are like super good. They're all good. There's not a single bad game on the Dreamcast, but I'll stop on the good ones. This is Coaster Works. Then we got MDK 2. This is an interesting title. Very unique, little shoot 'em up, not shoot 'em up, but like shooter type game. Alien Front Online. We'll stop on this one. This is a really cool game. Not a lot of people talk about it anymore. Still really worth grabbing. Still a really cool little game. Similar to Earth Defense Force, kind of. Definitely worth grabbing. Relatively cheap. I actually purchased this brand new. That's why my copy is absolutely mint. This was obviously, as the title suggests, a fairly big online game back in the day. Nightmare Creatures 2. Haven't actually played this one yet, so I don't know a ton about it. So I can't really judge it. Outrigger. I have played this one. This is an interesting game. The controls on this are not great because it's not, you don't have a second analog stick, but visually, pretty good looking game for the system. Cool game. Here's one that I still have yet to play. I want to, though, because it actually looks kind of dope. Right up my alley, and that's Conflict Zone Modern War Strategy. So it's a little strategy RTS light game. Obviously, well, can you use mouse and keyboard on here? No, you cannot, which is kind of a misstep on their part, although maybe it didn't exist at the time that came out. Here's one that I also picked up fairly recently, and that's Disney's Dinosaurs. I assume this is some kind of platformer game. Haven't gotten around to it yet. Dynamite Cop. This was actually a trade from Sega. I don't remember why, but he gave it to me, and he was very reluctant to give it to me. So I'm happy to still have it in the collection. Still happy, still love it. Played through this game many times. Very good game. This is Dynamite Deca, is what they call it in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. And then it also used to be a Die Hard game at some point, I think. I don't know a ton about it. It is a badass game, though. It's one of the pricier titles, like a mid-tier pricey expensive title, not like Mars Matrix $500 title, but that's like a $100 title. So it is kind of on the pricey side. Here's another one that's kind of on the pricey side. Cool game. You really don't ever see it. Really, Dreamcast games, I just don't see them in the stores at all, which is kind of why I get that itch and that challenge of why I enjoy collecting them in the stores, because when I finally find one that I don't have, it's really cool because I'm like, oh man, I don't have that one. I've never played it. Gotta grab it. So that's kind of a little extra reason of why I just like doing that. The Spawn game for the Dreamcast, very interesting game. It's kind of like a combat arena level game. It's like really kind of hard to describe. The controls are not great. Again, kind of a running theme, but like I guess once you play a lot of these games enough, you kind of your brain just recontorts to not having a second analog stick. So you kind of just make it work. Again, another title that would really work great with a second analog stick. Sega, you kind of fucked up on that. Rainbow Six. Here's an interesting one that I also picked up fairly recently. I think there has been one of these games on virtually every console, and that being the Worms games, Worms franchise. Pretty much every console has had a Worms game. Here's one that actually surprised me with how fun it was. At least I enjoyed it. I somehow always get into these random type games, but this is Trailroad Tycoon 2, which is a railroad simulator. You wouldn't think that would be kind of fun, but it's kind of fun. Just have to trust me on that. House of the Dead 2. So what's interesting and what kind of sucks about this one is you can't use your light gun. There's probably a way you can like mod it, or maybe get the European version. You probably can. Maybe the Japanese version. I don't really know. I do have the Dreamcast gun, which you can use on. I think it's Silent Scope. You can use it on, but then for this you can't use it for some dumb reason. I forget the reasoning. Someone correct me in the comments. Next up, we have a trio of games that are, I guess you could say, more sought after for the Dreamcast. Specifically this one, because it hasn't been re-released. Well, it's been re-released on the PS2, and I guess maybe the GameCube. I don't know. I've never collected the Resident Evil games on GameCube. But Resident Evil Veronica for the Dreamcast. For a long time, this was kind of like the definitive way to play that. I don't know if it still is. I would assume that it probably plays very similar on the PS2. Resident Evil 2. Again, this would probably be the best way to play this in the retro aspect of this game, I would think. And then Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Again, I would think this would be the best way to play this in the retro aspect of these games. Not on. I know these are on the PS4 and Xbox and that kind of stuff, but these are, again, similar to Dynamite Cop and Spawn, where they're a little bit more pricey. Nothing too crazy, but I think they're like $100 or so now. They definitely weren't that much when I bought them. Here's like a trio of fishing games. We've got Real Fishing Wild, Sega Bass Fishing 2, Sega Bass Fishing 1, which I have the this guy right here, which actually, funny enough, the store doesn't exist anymore, so now I can make fun of them for how shit they were. Pandora's Cube over there in Towson, Maryland. One good deal that I got there was that fishing rod boxed up with all 4 of these fishing games. The next one up was Sega Marine Fishing. All 4 of these, $20. Steal of a deal right there, if I do say so myself. This was many years ago, but that place has screwed me over many times, and they went out of business, so I'm kind of glad. Let's see here. We got Metropolis Street Racing. Oh, Metropolis. Metropolis Street Racing. I don't know why the fuck I said Metropolis. Yeah, Metropolis Street Racing. I don't know a ton about this one. I think... Oh, you know what? I think this is the game that ended up turning into Project Gotham for the Xbox, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the franchise that became Project Gotham. Test Driving 6. Cool little game. Decent. Here's one that's not that great. It's Flag to Flag racing game. Not great. Looney Tunes Space Race. Meh. Next stack here. We still got 4 more stacks here. I'll try to go a little quicker here. This is a cool game. Not expensive yet. I could foresee eventually maybe this one will go up in price just because it is a dope game. And that's Virtual On, the robot game. I loved playing this in the arcade as a kid. You can, well, not anymore, but there was a 360 version that you could get online. Virtua On. Cool ass game right there. Now, this is a game that I don't actually know really anything about, and that is Draconis Cult of the Worm. Looks like probably a hack and slash type game. Medieval setting. I haven't played it yet. Max Steel. Again, I haven't played this one either. This looks like it might be kind of like a beat-em-up adventure game. Defeat Dread by any means necessary. And it's spelt like Judge Dredd, but I don't think this has anything to do with Judge Dredd, the movie. Here's a game that I have played the shit out of on the Dreamcast, and that's Expendable. Really cool game. Like that one a lot. Pretty relatively cheap. Here's a weird one. I remember meeting up with the guy on Craigslist. He lived all the way across the Bay Bridge, if you've ever been in Maryland. So it was a decent drive. I got this and Skies of Arcadia, which I don't own anymore. I got rid of. I got both of them for $100 at the time. This was probably 7 years ago, so it was still an okay price. This is Incoming, which is like I don't even know how to describe this game. Not great. I guess I could say this would be like the one game that's not great on the Dreamcast. Hidden and Dangerous, cool little shooting game. Again, the controller did hinder the Dreamcast. It did. Sonic Shuffle, really good game. Not a lot of people talk about. I love Mario Party games. Sega should really go back to this. I think something like this, had they released something similar to this, even if it was just this remastered around the time of the movie, and if they, I hate to even say this, but had they made it like converted into a mobile game where you could play on like your phone and stuff with people, I still also question why Nintendo has never done like a mobile Mario Party game where you like take turns and yeah. I digress. I have a lot of good game ideas. Iron Aces, cool little flight game. Death Crimson OX. This is a really minty copy of it. Cool little game. It's like a first-person fighting, hacky / adventure type game. I don't really know how to describe it. I'm going to scoop both these stacks over. Here's a really cool one. I love, if you follow the channel long enough, you know that I love me a lenticulant cover. Space Channel 5. I don't know if that'll pick up on the camera, but she kicks while she's dancing is what she's doing. And little did I know, Space Channel 2, or Space Channel 5 number 2, is on the Xbox Dreamcast collection, which I should have grabbed, would have been appropriate for this video, but it's up there. And that it was available again on the 360 online store, not anymore, but you can get it physically still on the Dreamcast collection. Here's a cool one. This is on my short list of games that I want to play soon, and that's Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Really, I've always wanted to try that. My good buddy Mainly Gaming that I'm meeting up with at Too Many Games, he loves Legacy of Kain games. He's always ranting and raving about them, so I got to give him a shot eventually. Jet Grind Radio, this was a huge title back in the day. Awesome little game, great music, great fun with this one. Really, really unique. And again, I believe Sega is rebooting this and bringing it back, so that's kind of cool. Chicken Run, Toy Story 2, got Rayman 2. I got this very recently. I played this a ton. I think this was the one that came out for the launch of the 3DS. I played that a ton on the 3DS. Tomb Raider, this is The Last Revelation. And then we got Tomb Raider Chronicles. And Frogger 2 was also a relatively recent purchase. Pretty good looking version of Frogger. I mean, obviously all Froggers play the same. This is probably one of the better versions you can play of Frogger. So, cool little pickup there if you want to grab that. Next up here we got some RPGs. I don't know a lot of... Well, there's really not that many RPGs on the Dreamcast. I still need to get the rest of them. Here is a cool one that, again, is kind of on my short list that I think could be cool. Not a lot of people talk about it. I don't know, maybe it's a shit game. But that being Evolution 1. There's also a sequel for the Dreamcast, which I do need to get. I love the art style to this game. It looks really cool. I have played about an hour or two of it. And I remember there was like a library and like a book. And then it's been a while since I've played it. So, again, this is probably on my short list. I really want to get back into playing some Dreamcast, and I'm getting super nostalgic just looking at all this stuff again. Again, if you've been subscribed long enough, it's one shelf higher than ever you see in the frame of the backdrop. So that's why I've just really never shown or talked about any of this stuff. But again, obviously you can tell I really do enjoy the Dreamcast. Ready to Rumble Boxing, cool game. I got this pretty early on in life. Here's one that the homies got me one Christmas. Actually, no, this was Mainly Gaming that got me this. It was just Mainly Gaming that got me this. It was either a birthday or Christmas, but he sent it down for me. And they just recently announced that Capcom's going to put this in their little fighting collection, and that's Power Stone 1. This is a cool-ass game. I'd love to get the sequel, but I'm happy with just owning the first one. Really unique, fun little kind of isometric, Smash Bros-esque. This was Sega attempting to make their own Smash Bros. Well, not them, but Capcom attempting to make their own version of Smash Bros. And then Sega was like, hey, we want that on lock for our console because that shit looks dope. And it was. Power Stone, really cool. I'm definitely grabbing that Capcom collection. I don't know what happened to this case, but it is what it is. Mortal Kombat Gold here. Pretty good looking game. Fun little title there. This is a Taito Fighter, and that's Psychic Force 2012. It's okay. It's 3D. It's a good looking game. It's okay. Here's a cool one here. Plasma Sword. The Dreamcast is kind of known for its fighting games. At one point in time, I had this friend, and his brother and him had every single fighting game for the Dreamcast. It was a really impressive collection that he had. Kind of lost touch with him over the years, but he had a very impressive Dreamcast collection, and I was always kind of envious of all the fighting games. Here's a cool one. Sega Lacious, good bud. He is a Virtua Fighter aficionado, and this is Virtua Fighter 3rd for the Dreamcast. Really good game. This is a staple of the Dreamcast. If you get a Dreamcast or already have one and don't have this, this really needs to be in your collection. Now, here is one that's like really super on the short list because this is probably the next game that I'm going to play. My good buddy Tylord Stevenson sent me this game out of the blue. I think he just sent it to me for no reason. Well, he wanted me to play it, but then he was just like, here, dude, you can have it. He also gave me the strategy guide, which is in my other room on my bookshelf. But that is Omicron, the Nomad Soul. So this is, again, I haven't played it yet. On the back here, it's got a David Bowie and Reeves Garbles. I don't even know who that is. Obviously, I know who David Bowie is, but for the soundtrack, so it's probably got a banging soundtrack on it. This one, I know I believe you kind of like die and then get reincarnated into different people in the game and that kind of stuff. Steve went on and on about how great of a story this is, so like I'm really excited to finally. He gave me this like 2 years ago, and I just never got around to it. But I'm getting around to it. I promise. Here's another really cool game that I want to play, and there's another good one after this. This is Sword of the Berserker Guts Rage. Again, I have played this a little bit, and I enjoyed what I played. It's a really cool hack and slash game. I know this is like an anime. I would love to play the game and then maybe even watch the anime. Visually, this is a really good looking Dreamcast game. Really cool looking game. I'd love to delve into. Here's again another one. I want to say it was Johnny Millennium up there in Canada who loves this game, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's Blue Stinger for the Dreamcast. Again, super on my short list of games that I just really want to play and delve into, and I don't know why I never did, but I've owned it for forever and I've never delved into it. Apparently this is a badass game, and I really want to get into that one too. When I was talking about that RPG earlier, and I was talking about a library and playing it for an hour or two, it was Time Stalker that I was thinking about, not Evolution. I've never even played Evolution. This one I have played for, I want to say, maybe 3 hours tops, and then I just stopped playing it. I don't remember why. I don't remember if it was shit or if I just got busy playing something else. Again, I'm just kind of getting the nostalgic Dreamcast itch, and I want to just play a lot of this shit. Here's a really cool one here. This is Slave Zero. Cool little game here. Relatively cheap if you can find it. Here's one that we didn't get the sequel on the Dreamcast, and I'm really pissed that they never did it, and that being Dino Crisis 2. Dino Crisis 1 we did get. 2 they never put onto the Dreamcast for whatever. I guess really probably it got canceled. The system got canceled before they ever got around to it. But Dino Crisis 1, this is the best way you're going to play this. And according to Capcom, they're never going back to the franchise because Monster Hunter exists. Doesn't even make sense. But whatever. Capcom, you do you. Here is a phenomenal RPG on the Dreamcast. And again, for me, this is the best way to play it. Grandia 2. You can also get it on the PS2. But to me, look at this package. Double disc or a double jewel case. You open it up, you got the nice soundtrack, you got the nice manual in here. Flip it to the other side, then you got the game. It's got beautiful artwork in here and everything. Just a fantastic game. This is probably one of the better looking visual styles on the Dreamcast. I did actually play this, and I went in with the intent of beating it, and then for some reason, and this disc is mint, I'll tell you what. And for some reason, I got pretty deep into the game. I want to say 8 hours into the game just froze, and then every time after that, it would just freeze as soon as it booted up. Don't know why, so I gave up on it. They have thus re-released Grandia 1 and 2 on all the modern consoles in HD and whatnot, so I'll probably play it again that way eventually, but look at that. That's just a beautiful... Like, if you picked this up as a kid, like, you'd be instantly hooked. Like, I wish I had a Dreamcast as a kid. I would have supported it so much. I really would have. Tons of racing games about to come up. So we got F355 Challenge. What does that say? Passion Rosa, I guess. I don't know. It's in like weird cursive. I can't read it. TNN Motorsports Hardcore Heat. We got Jeremy McGrath Supercross 2000. Then we got Tokyo Extreme Racer 1. Le Mans, Test Drive Le Mans. Suzuki All-Star Extreme Racing. Ooh, here's a good one. This is a good racing game right here. This is a fun game right here. You got to get this on your collection. I believe this is an inferior version also on the N64. The best way to get this one is Dreamcast. This is Demolition Racer No Exit. Really fun game here. Absolute banger of a game. You will have fun playing this. Promise you. Pod Speed Race Zone. Ubisoft, of all people, did support the shit out of the Dreamcast. This is Surf Rocket Racing, or Rocket Racer? Rocket Racers. It's a Sea-Doo game. It's okay. Graphically good looking game. Speed Devils. This is a fun one. This is a really good arcade racing game. You'll have a lot of fun with this one. Pretty cheap if I'm not mistaken. Vanishing Point from Acclaim. Pretty decent little racing game. Test Drive V-Rally. Again, pretty good racing game here. Here's one that I got relatively recently, if I'm not mistaken. And that's 18-wheel American Pro Trucker. This was back when developers could take risks on games and make random shit like this. You don't see developers making random cool, just throwing shit at the wall to see if it sticks and see if people like it anymore, because everybody thinks we need these huge, big open world, Far Cry, massive 60-hour game, and all these games keep failing because I don't want that personally. I don't have time to play a 60-hour massive world, all that shit. Like every once in a while, sure, but like I don't want every game to be this huge, robust, go to this tower and then scan the area and then do all the little buildings and do all. It's just too much. It's getting to be too much. Ooh, this a banger right here too. Again, you can get it on the N64, which is where I first played it, but the best way to play it, you can also get it on the PS2. Best way to play it, to me, Dreamcast, Sega. This is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, pod racing game. If you're a Star Wars nut, you'll love this. It's just a great game, visually better than the N64, really on par with the PS2 version, and just, I don't know, I just like Dreamcast more than PS2, so for me, Dreamcast version it is. Rockstar title here, not Grand Theft Auto. Wild Metal Reclaim the Future. Haven't played it yet, don't know a damn thing about it. Here's a banger, two banger Sega racing games. Sega Rally 2 for the Dreamcast, absolute must-own game. And, three Sega racing games here. Then we got Daytona USA, absolute must-own Dreamcast game. Then we got Sega GT for the Dreamcast here. Again, pretty good game, really good game. All right, we're on the last stack here. Won't be too much longer, and then we'll jump back over. Let's see here. We got, so this actually, I'm going to scoot that over. Pretty sure this has a note in it somewhere too, and it does. This was from Sega Latius, Mainly Gaming, and Ty Lord Stevenson. I'm trying to close it without messing anything up. Will always be a staple of my collection. The boys chipped in together to buy me a really nice copy of Shenmue. It's complete with all the crap in it. Sega Latius, really, and Steve, Ty Lord Stevenson, the two of them love Shenmue like too much. They can tell you all the intricacies of those two games. They love them so much, and they really were bugging me to play it. And this was before they re-released them for the PS4 and Xbox One. But they all chipped in together and bought me a copy, and I love keeping the notes for when people send me games and stuff, and just, you know, I get sentimental about it. But this is obviously my forever copy of the game. It's got the passport in it. It's got, you know, all the discs and everything, and I really appreciated them buying this for me. It will be my forever copy of Shenmue. With that being said, I enjoyed the story. The story's cool. It's just the gameplay. Not the gameplay. I guess you could say the lack of camera controls and having to do all this different timed stuff. And I don't frankly know how you would play this game without a strategy guide or without the internet. I don't. You just have to be paying attention, and you have to talk to all the characters. And I guess that's really how Yu Suzuki envisioned the game, which is cool and all, but for me it was just way too much. But nevertheless, I still appreciate it. I enjoyed playing the game. It is a cool game. It was like too much for me. With that being said, I would like to play Shenmue 2 to see if they improved anything, or if it's really just largely more of the same, which it really is, if I'm not mistaken. Eventually I'll get to it, and then eventually get to Shenmue 3. This is basically just sports titles, so I'll definitely bang through this quick. WWF Attitude, Striker Pro 2000, Virtua Striker 2, NFL Blitz 2001, NFL 2K, NFL QB Club Quarterback 2001, NBA 2K, NBA 2-Night, World Series Baseball 2K1, World Series Baseball 2K2, Tee Off, Trickstyle, actually kind of a cool little game. Rip-In Riders, also cool, kind of cool little game. Surfer, Skateboarding, straight up rip off of Tony Hawk. And then Tony Hawk 1 and Tony Hawk 2, which again are actually decent little games for the Dreamcast. So that's the entire collection of Dreamcast stuff. Actually, no, it's not. Hold that thought. Alright, so I actually put this one over there, and then I had to go grab it real quick. This game doesn't get spoke about a lot anymore, and the stickers actually, I usually take the stickers off, and I don't know why I didn't on this one, but this it was $14.99. You can see they scribbled it out and put it at $11.99 with the microphone. You probably know what's coming if you're a Dreamcast guy. This is such a cool game. Like, we don't get cool stuff like this anymore. Seaman for the Dreamcast. I am missing the little green fuzzball, which I wish I had on here, but the mic still works just fine. Seaman. So the fun story behind this was, again, another game store in my area that's closed down. They don't exist anymore. There was two. They were called Power Gamer. It was, again, primarily where I got a lot of the original Xbox collection and a lot of this Dreamcast shit when I was really young, like late teenage years into my early 20s. It was about 20-25 minutes from my house. Like I've always said, there's really no game stores close to me, which sucks. But so it was about 25 minutes, so not terribly far away. I went there with my cousin. My cousin, not the one that's been in the videos, but a different cousin, he purchased the Grape Funtastic N64, and he bought, I think, one extra Grape controller, and then he got one or two N64 games. I happened to spot Seaman, and then obviously they gave me the microphone with it. So I guess I paid $12 for this. This would have been 2010 time frame, somewhere in that time frame. We were late stage teenagers at this point. He was staying the night at my house, or my parents' house, and we got home, and it was like in the afternoon, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something. And my mom was home at the time, and I think my dad was working or something. And we were just sitting up there playing Seaman, talking to the remote and just saying ridiculous shit. And if you don't know, Leonard Nimoy is the voice of this. So it was just, my mom's in her 60s at this point, so obviously she watched Star Trek as a kid and knew who Leonard Nimoy was just by hearing the voice. And she's like, "Are you talking to Star Trek in there?" Being a mom. But so I have a lot of good memories playing this with my cousin, and we played it straight for like 6 hours straight, and I had an absolute blast playing this game, and I just remember playing the absolute shit out of this with my cousin, and for that I have good memories with it. And so this was the entire Dreamcast collection that I have as of now. I don't know, there is an official sheet that Sega made with a little checkbox, or at least I'm pretty sure Sega made it. It's black and white, and then the logo's in orange, and you can check off everything you have, which I have printed it out, but I don't know where I put it. I usually bring it every time I go game hunting so I can just cross shit off the list. I don't know how many games this is between everything, but it's roughly about 100, and there's roughly about 185 games for the Dreamcast physically released in North America, so I'm already over halfway through the library. This is basically most of the common shit, a little bit of pricier stuff in here, nothing too pricey. I still have to get a lot of the really expensive stuff, and like I said, I want to collect it all in the wild and whatnot, so it's just going to take some time. But I think next year, I think it might be Dreamcast time, baby. Alright guys, so that is my entire Dreamcast collection. I'm over half the collection. I have some pretty good hitters in there. I don't have any of the heavy hitters yet. I don't have any of the Mars Matrix, the Gunbird 2, all that expensive stuff. I will get them eventually, hopefully. But like I said, I'm a weirdo and I want to collect these in person. I want to find them in person. Finding stuff like that, you're only going to find that at conventions. I'm definitely going to Too Many Games in 2026. I've already planned that out. Me and Mainly Gaming, we are reuniting because him and I went a couple times. I think it was 2019 and 2020 and 2021. I went by myself, but he went 2 years, and then he's one of my good YouTube buddies. Again, I'll link that in the description too. We already planned it out. We're definitely going in 2026. I'll likely try to go in 2025. This year I just couldn't because of prior obligations. But I kind of want to say 2025 might be the year of the Dreamcast for me. It might be the year where I really diligently try to finish the set. Because I'm getting damn near close to completing the 360 set of what I want for it, i.e. the exclusives and then the big third-party games. And then at that point in time, I think it's finally time that I complete the Dreamcast collection. I think it's time. I think 2025 and potentially into 26 will be finishing off the Dreamcast set. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed watching me ramble about my memories of the Dreamcast. I had an absolute blast talking about it, as I do playing the Dreamcast every time I hook it up. Go get yourself a Dreamcast if you don't have one. Peace out for now, guys. Catch you next weekend.
Come here, you mother...